Hi, everyone. Before I get started, I first want to say I know my hair's a disaster right now. I'm trying to heal from my right artificial hip being replaced. I don't have enough use of the hip left for today to do something about my hair before I post this video. I'm kind of amused. It looks like I put my finger in a electrical outlet in the cartoons from the 1980s or some of the hairstyles from the 1980s that people did on purpose. Anyway, this unfortunately is going to be a more serious update. Gosh. I think I'm going to start back on December the 3rd, even though I posted a video at the very start of January. So December 3rd is when I got home from the hospital. My surgeon said something to me before the operation that made a lot of sense to me. He was referring to himself when he said we have a template to go by for today and for this operation. And he was right. The problem resolved itself for my left side. It wasn't injuring me several times a day. And presumably, replacing my right artificial hip would bring about the same result. So when I got home from the hospital in April, I had expected a recovery similar to what I endured when my left hip was replaced in 2013. It wasn't happening, and I sent an email to my surgeon's office asking what was up with this. And my surgeon responded that replacing an artificial hip is a significantly harder surgery to recover from than just having the hip replaced, and to give myself time and just let it happen. And I've still been in that mindset. It's kind of why I'm wearing my house coat right now. And I've just been taking it easy, much easier than I prefer to be doing, but taking it easy. So I still have the fluid problem draining from both of my incisions. I can't believe it's still happening. It's from all the scar tissue that's resulted from all my previous hip surgeries. I wanted to give the left side a year to heal, but it's become a very big problem. I've been having problems making the joint move because the pressure the fluid was putting on the nerves and just how stiff the joint got. So my surgeon at present is consulting with the plastic surgeons at the hospital to discuss what to do with me. The whole kicker of this is when the incision opens to drain, it's the same idea as taking a little pin when you're fastening a piece of paper to a bulletin board. It's just the smallest hole. I woke up this morning at around 3 a.m. with the skin around my incision wet because it opened up again last night. Go figure. Anyway, it's getting looked into. It's not dangerous. It's painful. But it's not going to stop the artificial hip surgery itself from being successful. And the right side's also still happening, although right now it's calming down. But that really doesn't mean a whole lot because this has gone in waves with the left side. So I need to see in 2 or 3 weeks from now where it's at before having confidence that the right side will have resolved itself. There is significantly less scar tissue on my right side than the left side, but it's a pure fluke that the person would get what's called a seroma, and to have got two of them, we need to see what my body's going to do with it. I had a pain appointment on January 12th. My surgeon had wanted me to ask about a nerve block procedure for the pain in my right knee. I'm not a candidate for it. It's called knee denervation. To be quite honest with you, I'm very glad that my pain doctor has determined I'm not a candidate for this. It's a procedure that I read about it only from medical sources during the 3 days before my pain appointment. And then my pain doctor talked to me about it for another 10 minutes while I was with him. It's not a reliable procedure. The knee joint is a much more complex joint when you compare and contrast it to a hip. And they just can't guarantee that the pain will be gone from the knee, and it leads to a bunch of frustration and just unreliable results. So the next time I'm with my surgeon, we'll be continuing to discuss replacing my right knee. I'm in favor of getting rid of the sucker. It's been a problem since I first started trying to heal from my first adult hip surgery in 2007. And it's not like I've had a bad 2 or 3 years or the aging process caught up with me. This is a joint that's not working. I'm sure I'm in for a very interesting discussion again, because my surgeon was hoping against hope that I'd be a candidate for this. In any case, he was prepared for me to come back to him and say I'm not a candidate, and to continue the conversation about replacing my right knee. I would want for myself to have the fluid issue resolved. The knee joint doesn't have near the forgiveness that a hip joint does during the recovery process, and you can make things much, much worse for yourself. I already knew this before my surgeon told me. You really can't cheap out or skip out on the post-surgery physiotherapy. If you miss a day, you kind of go back 5 days. You miss the second day, you're back at square one. The knee joint needs the body going really, really well into it, and so you're able to take on a recovery and live that recovery for several weeks so that the surgery is successful. My surgeon has said to me, people tend to get upset with knees much easier than a hip being replaced. Now, to be fair, that's not me, and that's the broad terms with the statistics behind it. And I'm coming to this from a much different place than what's typical. But I need to have the hips under control, or as much as able to happen, and the fluids solved. The other approach would be to commit to going to a warm water therapy pool every single day, for maybe 6 weeks to engage in recovery once it's safe to use a pool. So sort of weeks 0 to 3 would be land-based, and just doing some very basic range of motion exercises just to stabilize the joint, and then getting in the water and bringing about a healing. And I would certainly be open to that. And for a 6-week time frame, I could probably deal with living just a recovery. Just to get sidetracked, I'm sitting here feeling the fluid coming out of my left hip again. I'm going to want to take care of it in a minute or two, but for a few more minutes, I wanted to talk. I have been thinking about my YouTube channel. I have tried to make this an extension of my life. What I've been working on, what I've been thinking about, life lessons that I've been learning, and trying to share what's worth sharing that actually will help people. There's not enough money in the world for me to blow up a can of spam on the internet. I'm not interested in it. And where I'm at right now is trying to build up my endurance and help my heart as well as my body. So in 2018, I took a course for living with a chronic condition. The statistics say that a person needs 25 minutes of cardio exercise every other day. The healthcare profession is willing to accept this as 3 times a week. But every other day is what your body's meant to get. And so I've been sitting here. I talked about this a few months ago. This is one of my water bottles. I've got a few of them around here beside me. I am wondering, for the people that watch this and are still watching this video right now, if it would interest you in me posting some videos while I'm doing the exercises for those to join in for as much as you're able. I'm enjoying it. I've been putting on some music and it's taking care of my body. I'm into this for about 3 weeks now, and it's got easier than at the start of January. I wonder what you're thinking about this. My primary focus would be upper body. There's probably some that I can do with my legs, but I'd have to think about it some more. There is more that I know about all this, and I do have some reference manuals here for exercising when you're disabled that I could refer to that are well researched and well grounded in medicine. Anyway, let me know what your thoughts are. I've really been enjoying this a lot. And with it getting easier, it should pay off in a few more months where I have some more energy. So when summer comes, even if I still find myself using the power wheelchair and everything says that's what's going to happen, I'll have more energy and more endurance. And I wanted to help myself recover the best that's possible. There's one more thing I want to talk about before this video ends. I had a setback last week. I was to an eye doctor. I've been having a problem with this right lower eyelid of mine. What's wrong with it? It's kind of interesting. The skin had been rolling outwards, kind of like when a child pouts, like. So it's a little bit complicated, but essentially I've had some eczema here, and you can see, well, it's not as prominent this evening, but you can see there's redness down here compared to the skin color up there. So when you have eczema, the skin tightens up, and it can pull the eyelid forward. So we're trying to get this resolved. The medicine from my eczema interacted with a soft tissue pain medication that stops me from feeling. The easiest way of explaining it is when I've accidentally cut myself with a tin can lid or a utility knife. The very sharp pain is what it interrupts. And it amplified the strength of it. So I've got another appointment tomorrow, this time on the phone, to try to discuss what's next. I'm sure it's going to be an interesting discussion. I've never had a drug interaction happen to me before, but the medicine kind of play off of each other. I'm sure it's going to be an interesting discussion. That's kind of what I've got to share for right now. I do hope each of you are doing well. You know what? Before I close, one other thing. I have been putting some time into my website. I've got, in round numbers, 20 items on the self-help area of my website that provide practical tips and strategies for living your life. I'm setting up so that the tips can go automatically to a person's calendar, what's used on a phone, tablet, or computer, so it can really make a meaningful difference in people's lives. There's still a few more weeks' work in getting this all set up. It's a really, really big job to get set up, but once it is set up, it's going to be automatic and it'll just run. Once it's done, I'll be keen to share it. I'm wanting to put some effort into promoting and marketing my website in 2026. I sort of have a rough idea of what needs to happen for this to happen and for it to be successful, opposed to having an uphill battle where you may as well be pushing water uphill. Anyway, that's kind of what I've been working on in the background, sort of for the hour or 2 hours when I'm feeling okay during the daytime. I'm trying to make the best through the recovery. What I'm doing right now and will be working on over the next week will be my blog. I wanted to take a break from the calendar program because I come back to it fresh and check my code that all the commands to populate the calendars are set up correctly and working. But I need to do that when I'm completely fresh and I won't incorrectly read any typing errors. The commands themselves work, but I need to look over everything to make sure that it's working as designed. The computer's not giving me error messages when I run the commands. I'm really looking forward to having this done. I think it's the next natural step of making an impact on people and meeting people for where they're at in life. Okay, I hope each of you are doing well. And before I close, thanks for putting up with my hair tonight. Actually, one more side note. You can see I'm getting a few gray hairs. The worst things happening to me. Oh well. Okay, hope everyone's doing well. Bye for now.